So let's take a look at how you can install Docker on Windows 10. So first thing to do would be go to docker.com, and here you will find this Docker desktop for Windows. Simply click on that. Next would be to download the required installer. Okay, it should take you through this Docker Hub installation page. Here you can see it will ask you to download Docker desktop for Windows. Okay, so what you're going to do is click on this link that should download the installer. That looks something like this. Double click on that. Okay, and after that it should tell you to close this installer and log out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Okay, so now to check whether Docker is installed on your Windows 10, open PowerShell. Okay, so I have installed PowerShell 6, and I'm going to type in Docker and then space and then -v. Okay, so let the PowerShell load in. Okay, if you see this message, Docker version 19.0.03.4, that means you have installed Docker and it is now part of your system path. Okay, so that completes your Docker installation on Windows 10. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can install and run Hello World image. So basically, those who are new to Docker usually start by running this simple image named Hello World. So when you run this image, what happens is it basically shows you a simple message, welcome to Docker. That's all. So what we're going to do is we're going to check whether Docker is running. In taskbar, if you see this icon and that says Docker desktop is running, that means you can run Docker commands. Next thing would be to open PowerShell. Okay, now in PowerShell I'm going to check whether I can run the command by simply typing docker then space then -v. Okay, if you see this version name, that means Docker is installed. Okay, next thing would be to running our Hello World image. So for that we will type in docker then space then run and then hello-world. Okay, hit enter. It says no such, unable to find Hello World latest locally, so it will download that from official Docker repository and then it will show you the message welcome to Docker, etc, etc. Okay, so we'll wait for that. As you can see, it says hello from Docker. This message shows that your installation working correctly. Okay, and it will encourage you to install other images. If you see this message, that means you have managed to install and run Hello World image on Docker. Okay, so we are going to take a look at how you can install Ubuntu image with Docker. So first thing would be to check whether you have Docker running. In your taskbar, make sure you have Docker account that says Docker desktop is running. Next thing would be to open your PowerShell. Okay, now make sure to also have your Docker in system path. To check that, simply type in docker then space then -v. Okay, that should show you the version number which is installed on your system. Okay, next thing would be to, in order to install your Ubuntu image, what we're going to do is first we are going to check a bunch of commands with --help. Okay, it will show you the list of commands that Docker has, out of which we are going to make use of one named -and -it. Okay, so you can find -i, which stands for interactive, and -t for your shell. Okay, so we are going to type in docker then run then dash IT. Okay, then you can type in your Linux name, Ubuntu, hit enter, and considering it is not available locally, it will take it from official Docker website. Okay, and it will directly put you into interactive shell. Now to check that, you can simply type in ls, and that will show you the list of available directories on your system. Okay, so next thing would be to simply exit from that, and you come back into your PowerShell prompt. So you get the idea how to install Ubuntu Linux image with Docker. So let's take a look at how you can check images on Docker. For that, what we're going to do is we are going to check whether we have Docker running. As you can see, if you can see this icon in your taskbar, that means your Docker is running. Okay, now next thing would be to open PowerShell. Okay, now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to check whether Docker is installed by typing docker, then space, then -v. Okay, that should show you some version number and build number. Okay, now the next thing would be to check for Docker images. So we are going to type in docker, then space, then images. And here you see I have Ubuntu image on my system right now. Okay, so this is the only image I have on the system. Okay, so to see the images installed on your system, all you have to do is type in keyword docker and then space and then images. That should show you the available images. So let's take a look at another command named inspect for Docker. Okay, so inspect can be used in various cases, such as for repository, for image, and also for your instance. Okay, so we are going to take a look at how you can use the inspect keyword for your images. So what we're going to do is make sure that you have Docker running on desktop, and next thing would be to open PowerShell. Now here I'm going to check whether I have Docker in my system path with docker, then space -v. Next thing would be to check docker inspect and then name of the image. It should give you JSON output for that image. So as you can see, these are low level details telling you about its ID, repository, and other information like host name, domain name, etc. Okay, depending on what are the changes being made. Okay, so you get the idea how to inspect any image or repository. So in case of repository, just replace this image name with repository. Currently I don't have any repository attached to Docker account, so there is nothing to show on that part, but you get the idea how to simply replace that image name with your repository name. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can remove Docker image from your system. So first thing would be to open PowerShell. Okay, also make sure that you have Docker running. You can check the taskbar icon that shows Docker is running. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the version installed so as to verify that Docker is added in the path. Okay, if it shows you the version, that means your Docker is installed and accessible from any drive using PowerShell or command prompt. Okay, now the next thing would be to simply type in docker and then images. Okay, now to remove this Ubuntu image, what we're going to do is we're going to type in docker, then RMI. Okay, so it stands for remove image. So RMI, then -f to force our Docker to remove this image, and then type in hello-world. Okay, that should get rid of this image. Okay, so it says there is no such image already because I have only Ubuntu. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to replace this with Ubuntu. Okay, now that this image exists. Okay, and as you can see, it tells you it deleted that image. Now if we do Docker images now, then you see there is no image there. So if we type in, let's say, Ubuntu again, no such image, just like how we got for hello world. Okay, so you get the idea how to remove image from Docker. So let's take a look at how you can check the history of Docker images that are installed on your system. So first thing that we are going to do is we are going to check whether we have Docker running in our taskbar. As you can see, Docker desktop is running. Now we are going to open PowerShell, and here I'm going to type in docker-v. Okay, that should show you the version that is installed on the system. Now next thing would be to simply use command name docker, then space, then history, and then space, and then name of your image or simply image ID. Okay, so here let's first take the images that are installed on your system with docker images command. As you can see, I have two images, Ubuntu and hello world being the second. Okay, now I'm going to check history for Ubuntu image. So I'm going to type in docker, then history, and then Ubuntu. Hit enter, and it will show you the list of operations being done on that image. Okay, so you can see the image name, okay, and it is just mentioned at the top, and then when it was created and what command were being run on it. Okay, similarly you can also run it for another image, which is hello-world, and as you can see, it has only two commands run on it. Okay, so usually you will notice that it shows the dates wrong, and it shows the original date for that particular image when it was manipulated. So you can ignore that, and considering all possible commands that were run on your images, you'll be able to see it through this history keyword. Okay, so this can be handy when you're doing installation from scratch and want to see what commands were run for that particular image.